What is up, everybody? I'm NoLucksGiven here with your afternoon snap, and today I am playing my top 32 match in the Snap Judgements League, and I would kind of be a little surprised if this is not just a Hela mirror. Hela is the hot new deck that kind of just got popular with this OTA again, and my opponent might come up with some ways to beat Hela. I could have tried to come up with some ways to beat Hela, but I feel like without knowing exactly if your opponent is going to do that in just one match, just playing the best deck is not a bad way to approach the game. So that's what we're doing. We'll see what my opponent is up to. First player to discard a black cat gives away the whole secret, though with Blade, we might be giving it away on turn one. We'll see what we draw. No Swordmaster. I'm going to hang on to this one. It is a little bit awkward because the Swordmaster could discard the Blade 50-50, so we might have to wait till turn 4, or we can Blade something this turn. I would Blade a black cat here. Not going to be blading a Hela, though. That's for sure. The big reason this deck is now cool again is because Skaar is a 7-cost card, which means you can discard it with Swordmaster and Lady Sif and not have to worry about it getting discarded. Or not have to worry about discarding your Hela, is what I meant to say. My opponent on move, which... Alright, so now I think I'm going to save Swordmaster Blade and look for a good play for both of them next turn. We might just not find a good play for them, and we might wind up retreating for 1 cube. So, one of the ways that you beat the Hela deck, I think the most consistently, is by focusing on 2 locations. My opponent might be doing a reasonable job of doing that here. Thaddeus is going to give it away. It's going to give away exactly what we're doing. Blink will discard Hela. I could go Blade, discard Thaddeus, which is like awkward, but then allows me to Swordmaster and 50-50 discard the Skaar. I suppose we'll go for that, and then I'm planning on blinking the Swordmaster next turn, so let's, I suppose, put it in Xandar. I don't love this play. If the Swordmaster discards the blink, it's absolutely terrible for me, but I already have the Hela in hand, so kind of need to start playing these cards. Opponent potentially debating a snap here. They've got a strong early game here with Human Torch and Ghost Spider. Now they're looking to pick those up next turn, but they don't have a Toxin, so possibly a Beast. Let's see what the Swordmaster. Have we mastered the Blade? Nice. Alright, so that is exactly why we are playing the deck. Probably going to try to blink the Swordmaster here now. Hope to hit, well, honestly, any of these are fine. Hellcow's great. Jubilee into Hellcow also seems good. That's why I played it in Xandar. And I suppose we will just blink here for now. Not a fantastic draw by any means. And I didn't leave myself the opportunity to blink the Blade into Lady Sif, which honestly might have just been a better option. But we wind up getting the Jubilee, and then that grabs the Lady Sif, so it all works out the same. We discard the Death, and now we're going to see, yeah, Beast plus maybe an Iron Fist here. Aranya. Similar story. So, final turn of the game, we could see a snap come out from my opponent. I have discarded 3 cards, right? Oh gosh, it's not working. I've discarded, yeah, Thaddeus, Skaar, and Death. No Black Cat. Really, well, actually drawing Black Cat would not have done too much for me here regardless. Kind of assume they're going to be able to take over Lake Hellas. I think this is fine to play out for 2 cubes. If my opponent knows how to play around the deck, they're kind of going to give it up to me right now. And they have a reasonable draw, so it's definitely not worth snapping. And just getting really punished. So basically they win whatever location the Human Torch shows up at, but they might not be able to win another location. Human Torch plus Ghost Spider are free this turn, which means they've got 6 energy still to make whatever other play they want with the remaining 4 cards in their hand. I'm not exactly sure what that could be on the final turn of the game, because they can't duplicate the Human Torch. So I really only see them winning one location super easily. But they are battling for Xandar and Tink here, and so are we. So this works out nicely. I do imagine something is going to find its way over to Lake Hellas via Orania, but I could be wrong here. They're battling for Xandar currently, and then Doctor Strange over the dagger, but that's not going to be big enough, and we get him for 2 cubes. All right. I think this was a cosmic victory here, actually. Feels like a pretty good way to kick off the match, I've got to say. Oh, Orania is going to move over the Human Torch into Lake Hellas. That makes sense. They'll grab that location. We grab an extra card from Thaddeus and discard our Black Cat to finish off the game. All right, 2 cubes, up 2 cubes. Maybe that was a snappable position. Victory. But, you know, I mean, that could have gone sour. Death lands in Lake Hellas and then we lose. So, yeah, very scary. And you can see how, like, growing big in 2 locations normally is how you get out of there. I did not have a super high rolly draw. Neither did they, though. So, yeah, interesting game. Thaddeus is nice. Thaddeus is potentially a snap condition with the deck. Spider Island is definitely a snap condition with their deck, though. So we're going to be retreating for 1 cube eventually. We'll see when my opponent makes me do that.
Gotta run,
okay.
hun.
Not yet. Not yet. Sandbar does stop Frigga a little bit, which is nice. Don't want to turn on Miles Morales. It's a weird phrase. It's a weird phrase to say. I don't want to pull a Gwen Stacy and turn on Miles Morales. All right. Let's just drop Lady Sif, discard our Death. Next card, Hellcow. I mean, looking like a good curve so far. We got a free draw off Thaddeus, which is probably just snappable, but I don't know. I don't really feel comfortable snapping a Spider Island. So, I don't think they're running Miles Morales anyways, but just no sense in playing into it, right? Unless I get a Miles Morales off of whatever Westview turns into, but I'm sure I'll have time to play it if that is the case, because my opponent is going to be moving some cards regardless here. They're also letting me draw. They're letting me have my way with it. And the fact that they are not doing anything else certainly makes you feel like you should be snapping, right? I think I actually play it to Spider Island now. Next turn, I don't really want to blink. I possibly want to Jubilee next turn. But this is looking like a big high roll. I'm out of Thaddeus draws, which feels great. They're going to need to draw. The fact that they have not snapped in Spider Island means that they don't have 2 grow cards. Like how this deck functions, you either need to have Frigga, it doesn't look like they're playing Iron Patriot, or you need to have 2 of Human Torch, Dagger, and Vulture. Some combination of 2 of those. Let's see what they got here. They've got the Dagger. It's going to grow a little bit for them, and then move over into Sandbar. Oh, it couldn't because they played it to Spider Island. Okay, sure. Oh, and they Orania'd the Falcon. Interessante. Okay, so we certainly just Jubilee out a Blade or Swordmaster here, and oh boy, do I want to snap. I mean, they can't bounce this Dagger. They can barely grow the Human Torch. I want to snap so bad. The thing is, this Infinaut is likely stuck in my hand unless I randomly get it with the Hellcow. Discarding Blink or Skaar with either of these is fine. I actually get a card into Spider Island, which doesn't really matter. I think we're going to snap. I think I want to put the pressure on. The fact that my opponent isn't snapping is either showing incredible restraint with Spider Island in play, or it's really signaling that they have nothing. And so far, it does not look like they're doing anything impressive. So we're snapping against a move deck with Spider Island as a location. Whew, that was a little spooky, but now we are up 10 cubes to 7, up 3 cubes. We'll see if we can keep it going here. Blade is nice in the opener. That's going to give us a lot of opportunity to discard what we want. I think I don't want to discard Jubilee. I'd rather play the Blade next turn on something different. Jubilee is just one of the ways that you dig further into your deck to try to find Hela, so it's not worth doing that. Discarding Skaar is good. Don't think we're in a snappable position yet, but looks good to me. I almost feel like I will just win the kiln. Maybe that's a little bit... just against bounce move specifically. Oh, I guess if they have Madam Web. We have not seen Madam Web from them. Right, that's the best card in their deck, and they have not drawn it yet. They also are not playing it here. Interesting. Iron Fist, Human Torch, but not setting themselves up for a bounce unless it's Falcon. Oh, we could see Ghost Spider. And then... I mean, this is beautiful. This is probably snappable. I can't even Jubilee into Blade next turn. So I like a lot of this. I don't think I'm ever winning White Hot Room. It's like possible, but seems unlikely. I do think they were probably going to Ghost Spider, Human Torch over here, and then maybe... Toxin them to their hand, or Falcon. Seems like their best play. Let's see if they have that before we do anything else. Little beard hair in my mouth. I think they don't have it because they would have done it. I'm gonna snap. Scum Snap. Seems like they're struggling with what play to come up with, which is kind of a trap sometimes. So if your opponent's struggling to figure out what their play is, that either means... okay, it's just Falcon. That's decidedly a lower roll than it could have been. That possibly means they'll take over White Hot Room next turn. Somewhat reasonably, I think. But that's all right. Probably just Jubilee in White Hot Room every time. So the cool thing that we are kind of angling for is the final turn Swordmaster plus Hela combo. But I don't want all of my cards to go to kiln. You know what? I'm fine with this. Jubilee, we could blink the Lady Sif into Black Cat or Infinaut too. Yeah, I think there's a lot of cool plays that can happen out of this one. Reason you play the Jubilee now is because, like, next turn... I mean, I could have just saved it for next turn, but I don't want to blink the Hellcow ever. So I'd rather Jubilee into the blink, and then next turn play the Hellcow, finish off with Hela plus Hellcow. So if your opponent is taking a while to make their decision, it either means they've got a lot of options, or they don't have a good option. Usually it means they have a lot of options, so it's a little bit of a trap to snap, I think. We do get the extra energy from White Hot Room now. My opponent might also. Yeah, it looks like they'll also grab that. We might just decide to lose. Actually, I don't even know if we lose White Hot Room guaranteed here, because they could blink or something. But the plan is play Hellcow, and then on the final turn we'll be able to play either Lady Sif or Swordmaster. But it doesn't really matter. I guess I'll get to play Thaddeus plus Hellcow, and then Hellcow whatever I draw. So I want to draw Infinaut next turn. Okay, this seems great. I've already snapped. Let's go for it. They are beasting. Yeah, I figured Beast could be in the cards here, but similar thing to the first game, they only have one big card. I don't draw the Infinaut, which is a bummer. So do I even want the Thaddeus? Yeah, probably. They can get into the kiln fairly reasonably. Just trying to think of which of these I want to discard and which of them I want to play. Because I kind of want more power in Wakanda, I believe. So I think that that means playing Lady Sif, then Hela. And I don't even... I'll activate this just for my weekend missions. Or my alliance missions or whatever. You know what? There's like no shot they've got Crystal. But I'll play around it. I think this earns me 4 cubes every time. I'm struggling to see, especially with the center location shutdown, how they can get large power into 2 separate locations. And we're going to have large power across the board, I feel. I could have even not played the Lady Sif just to get more potential high rolls into Wakanda. Might have been a better play. But I've only discarded 2 cards, apparently. So I'll hope to get 1 in Wakanda, and then not the Thaddeus here. Okay. Might still be alright. Doctor Strange in White Hot Room, and then how do they battle for Wakanda? Can they? Can't imagine they can, right? Dagger into killing. Yeah, not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. Alright. Now we are up 10 cubes to 3. Oh, and I draw the Infinaut on the final turn. Sure. My banana, bro. Threw the banana split on Infinaut. I thought it looked cool. Victory. Depends on this, it kind of looks strange with the color settings. But yeah, once you full screen it, like this yellow kind of lines up with the yellow in the... It looks like there's a banana on his head. This looks like a banana. So I thought the banana split was actually pretty solid on Infinaut here. Yeah, they win 1 location. Now they've got to find a way to win 2 locations across a lot of games. We are up a ton of cubes against them, which makes me... I'm sitting pretty right now, I think.
Gotta run.
All right, Black Cat's going to skedaddle. Jotunheim, not good locations for a deck with a bunch of small cards. Good locations for a deck that puts a bunch of power out on the board on the final turn, though. I mean, to be fair, they're bounce. But if they have anything sitting around here, it's going to get gobbled up. Let's think about this. Don't have any real reason to stay in it. I don't have any real reason to retreat. I think I'm willing to play it out for 2 cubes, but I will reserve the right to not play it out for the full 3 by the end of this. I think we can probably assume that a snap means that Madam Web is here, but we have not seen it yet, and we get to battle for Castle Blackstone. That's a lot of fun. Next turn I can blink the Swordmaster into one of these 3. Don't really want to hit Hela just yet. Could look to snap back. Though, if they have Ghost Spider, that's actually a lot of power in the Blackstone. Does not look like it. It is going to be Madam Web, though. So, oh no! Swordmaster discards the blink. That's a bummer. So, now they can get up to 8 here. I'm just going to discard Infinaut. Nothing else much I can do. Alright. Yeah, I needed Swordmaster to discard Skaar there, clearly. But being able to ditch my Infinaut, I think for the first time in this match, I don't think my opponents actually even see my Infinaut. Oh, they pick up the Human Torch. But importantly, they have got 2 grow cards here. So they are definitely a grower in this game. I believe we're going to see Dagger into Blackstone. So that's going to get +4, go up to 9. So I've got 9 power at this location. Unfortunately, this does not add power to the location. It just gives the same amount of power to Dagger. So I'll play Thaddeus in the Thunderbolts Tower. Just seems apt, right? It does not have any synergy, unfortunately. Maybe they'll let me... No, I cannot even draw a card here. So I think I'm kind of boned, actually. I could draw Hela next turn, get the Infinaut. Oh, that could still be a lot of power, couldn't it? Oh, and I'm going to be blinking Thaddeus? All right, we draw Hela, we stay in it. We draw Jubilee, what do? We draw Jubilee, it's a 1 in 3. They're letting me keep Blackstone still. Awkwardly, because they have not... Alright, well, that's a retreat. That's an easy retreaty, right? Dagger is... Oh, did they not move Dagger? I'm tempted. I wasn't even paying enough attention to what they did last turn, I'll be honest. They have to put so few points in both of these locations that it seems terrible. I think the only way that they stay in it is because they just, like, don't want to retreat. They want to hope that I don't have Hela. I don't think it's worth giving them an extra cube here. Right? At some point, will that cube be relevant? I think it will be. Yeah, it'll basically function as like an extra life later on. Oh, they're potentially retreating. Oh, I can't snap. I can't snap. It's already the final turn, so you're not allowed to snap here. But, yeah, that probably would have pressured them into retreating. Alright, that's fine. I'll lose my 2 cubes. 8-3. It's fine. I'm pulling out some scummy snaps in this one, for sure. Into the high stakes mode, that means they can snap up to 3 cubes now at any point. And that will push them all in. We can also do the same. Oof, okay. Yeah, again, a bunch of locations that are not good for people that want to play cards. They're fine for people that don't mind not playing cards. Madam Web, pretty solid. And Spider Island means that I really don't get to play this turn. I would rather my Swordmaster get destroyed than get sent to their side. So I guess I'm playing Swordmaster to discard Skaar Blink 50/50. And they're probably just full skipping on the whole turn. Interesting. Some weird Spider Island locations. They are going to have difficulty playing into Madam Web, but they probably don't mind. Yeah, this is something that we do have to think about, though. I think this is probably a retreat again, unfortunately. I don't have the Hela, and they have Spider Island.
Escaped.
They can maybe, like, bounce Madam Web and get her into another location, and then they've got Spider Island and Madam Web, which just seems like a pretty incredible high roll that I don't want to have to be dealing with. And now, all of a sudden, my opponent really just has to win the next 2 games. I mean, I can still retreat, but this just got a lot scarier. Fisk Tower does certainly benefit me, yeah. Clintar seems fine for me too. I think we'll play Thaddeus into there. I already can only draw 1 card off Thaddeus, so he's not super important already for me. Yeah, and I'm going to draw it right here. Here goes my black cat. And this can turn into a symbiote now. I'm done with you. I'm done with you, Thaddeus. Rickety Bridge is possibly snappable for my opponent. It is very awkward with this deck. I'm going to Hellcow into Fisk Tower. Basically, like, if any of my cards land in Rickety Bridge on the final turn, I just lose an incredible amount of value. So I'm just going to hope that that doesn't happen. The locations are really tricky here for my opponent, though, too. Don't get me wrong. I think we're both having a rough time this game. Drawing a card, so I think I was bringing this up earlier, but the deck is, like, really consistent because of Jubilee, Blink, and Thaddeus all making your deck a little bit smaller. which winds up being pretty incredible. I definitely play Hellcow here, so that way I can draw Blade next turn. And Blade and discard Skaar and Death. And then blink the Lady Sif into Jubilee or Hela on the final turn. They didn't trigger Thaddeus last turn, so they don't know the contents of my hand. But as soon as you trigger Thaddeus and it says no more cards, then you know the jig is up. We have not seen Vulture from them. We have not potentially seen Heimdall Eliath. Those are a little bit more of a stretch. Haven't seen Frigga, Iron Patriot. Toxin. Not always an include. They've got the Madam Web, though. Are they looking to bounce it here? This is going to be a pretty slow play from them, then. Like next turn, they get to replay it, and then the following turn, they get to move it. Oh, yeah, Thunderbolt's not going to trigger, so they will continue to not know my hand. Cool. I do draw the Blade, which is exactly what I asked for, right? So now I go Blade, discard Death, Lady Sif, discard Skaar. Do I ever want to play Blade into Rickety Bridge? I think so. I think so. I think we're going to snap here, too. Snap. I think this might be able to get a retreat. So next turn, we're going to blink. We either play Hela. If we draw Jubilee, then we blink Lady Sif into Hela. If we draw Swordmaster, we blink Lady Sif into either Jubilee into Hela or just straight up into Hela. Or if we draw Hela, then we get to just play it. So we knew we were drawing Hela next turn, based off that Blade draw there. And I guess, did we even need to draw Blade? Maybe we didn't even need to draw Blade, but the Blade just allowed us to discard an extra card, which is great. And now my opponent has to win the next 6 games. No, they've got to win the next 3 games. This is still worth 2. Sorry, it's been a long match here. 30 minutes in. Gonna start off by Kitty Cat running away. The Abbey, that's gonna be good for them. Could discard Jubilee, hope to hit one of my 2s or 3s next turn. I don't love discarding Jubilee. Drawing an extra card is basically like having the Jubilee. It's basically like getting the free draw from Jubilee. I'm going to run it out. We'll see if that backfires, but I think I'd really like the extra card from the Abbey. And it didn't seem like with no play on the first turn, my opponent was going to be grabbing the Abbey here. Awesome. So now we discard Death, draw a card from the Abbey, but it doesn't really matter. We could save the Abbey for a post-Attilan. I don't hate that. Sure. My opponent might just exhaust the Abbey this turn. I think that would actually be a good play from them. But regardless, we actually draw 2 cards here, because just like pure quantity matters over quality in a Hela deck, because eventually you'll get there. Yeah, so they're going to draw a card from the Abbey and then shuffle that card in with Attilan. Meanwhile, we get to draw up to 3, which is nice. They are Human Torching the Aranya into the Madam Web location, which is certainly a start here. And now they're going to get a fresh hand to try to find Vulture or Dagger and do some other fun stuff. I can blink the Thaddeus. Blink the Thaddeus is pretty good. It will always hit. Sure, I think I like blinking Thaddeus here. And I'm going to play Blink and Hela both into the Abbey, I believe. Yeah, so the only other option for a play here is Swordmaster, discard Blink, and then Hela back the Blink, hoping that Skaar is still in the deck, but there's really no guarantee of that, so I don't love it. Oh, they moved over Human Torch and then returned it with Falcon. Oh, plus I also draw the Infinaut here. Right, so that will keep me out of that. Perfect, so now I definitely Blink Thaddeus into Hellcow. Next turn, hope to discard Infinaut or potentially Skaar and then play Hela. Seems good to me. No snapping, no retreating. We are just playing Marvel. The snap portion of the game is over, so hopefully Hela can Marvel harder than Madam Bounce. I mean, if you're just going by, like, the box office, or not even the box office, just like the motion picture standards, Madam Web loses this fight to basically anything. So if it's just Marvel, if it's not Snap, just Marvel-wise, Madam Web is out. There's the Hellcow. Hellcow is in, and that's going to be a Vulture over into Madam Web. Okay, just hanging on to the Human Torch so they can grab a lot of power with it on the final turn. I'm hoping Hellcow does not hit Thaddeus. Hit Swordmaster, it's like whatever. Honestly, I will probably just win the Abbey, right? So maybe I go for this. Yeah, let's battle for all three, see what happens. Oh, I can't. I was trying to fist bump. There's like a bug on the PC where the top corner, you saw me trying to click that earlier. I can't emote, so I'll tell my opponent GG after the match. Unfortunately, I mean, they might be watching, so GG regardless of how this one shakes out. I feel like this could be the final game. That could be kind of like a baited ARG. Interestingly, they did have more energy last turn. Like, they could have played Aranya or something. Right? All they played was Human Torch Vulture, or Iron Fist Vulture. So they could have played one more card. Maybe that made them less flexible. But I don't think, like, playing Aranya would have been bad there ever. Let's see what they ultimately come up with. Still 2 unknown cards in my opponent's deck. We knew Vulture, so that wasn't really an unknown. The rest of the cards probably aren't super likely to have an high impact on the final game. So if they had played the Human Torch into the Abbey, then I would have assumed Heimdall was one of their remaining cards. I have priority, so they cannot Eliath or Cosmo me. Don't have to worry about that. We are going to discard the Skaar, which seems like a pretty good start, and then Hela's going to bring back Jubilee, which brings back nothing. Skaar and Death. Mobius is one of their remaining cards, but they don't move the Human Torch. So that is going to be it. We are going to grab the victory there, and GG's to my opponent. Thank you guys very much for watching. Should have said this at the top of the video. You know what? I did. I'll go record an intro in post, but just as a reminder, subscribe and leave a comment, and you'll be entered into a giveaway to win the Brave New World Season Pass. I got one of those to give away still. Trying to give that away like today. So comment right now and get entered in to win, and subscribe so you can see how I do. I am now moving on to the top 16 of this tournament, but for today, that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'm NoLucksGiven. Peace.